Hey guys, tonight we're talking about medieval discoveries, the kind that made people stop and think, we have 007. Learn something, unfortunately. So, before you get comfortable, take a 012 moment, like the video, and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from 025. Around the world now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft 031 background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. One of the most unfortunate medieval discoveries. Imagine a time when doctors believed sickness could be cured by draining blood from your body. A time when mental illness was treated by drilling holes into the human skull. A time when pain, torture, and death were considered science. This was not a horror movie. This was the Middle Ages. In today's world, we celebrate discoveries that save lives. But in medieval times, some discoveries did the opposite. They destroyed bodies, they ruined minds, and they ended countless innocent lives. In this video, we will explore real medieval discoveries and practices. Things humanity truly wishes were never made. These stories are dark, they are disturbing, and most importantly, they are real. Bloodletting, when losing blood meant healing. In medieval Europe, if you had a fever, a headache, or even simple fatigue, the diagnosis was always the same. Your blood was unclean. Doctors believed the human body was controlled by IV fluids: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Bloodletting, when losing blood meant healing. In medieval Europe, if you had a fever, a headache, or even simple fatigue, the diagnosis was always the same. Your blood was unclean. Doctors believed the human body was controlled by 4 fluids: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. What makes this discovery truly terrifying is that bloodletting wasn't limited to common people. Kings, queens, and nobles all trusted this method. Even George Washington, centuries later, died after losing too much blood during treatment. For over 1,000 years, bloodletting was considered advanced medicine. In reality, it was legalized harm, trepanation, drilling holes to release evil spirits. Mental illness terrified medieval society. Depression, seizures, hallucinations, these were not seen as medical conditions. They were seen as demonic possession. The cure: open the skull. This horrifying procedure was called trepanation. Doctors would drill or cut a hole directly into the patient's skull without anesthesia, believing evil spirits would escape through the opening. Shockingly, archaeological evidence shows some patients survived this procedure. Their skulls even healed around the hole. But survival didn't mean recovery. Many lived with permanent brain damage, infections, or unbearable pain. The idea that drilling into the brain could cure the soul remains one of history's darkest misconceptions. The plague doctors, mask protection, or poison. During the Black Death, millions died across Europe. Doctors wore terrifying bird-like masks filled with herbs, flowers, and spices. They believed disease spread through bad air. The mask was designed to filter poisonous smells, but here's the truth. The herbs did nothing. The mask did nothing. The doctors themselves often spread disease from patient to patient. Worse still, many treatments included mercury and toxic chemicals, slowly poisoning the sick. What looked like protection was actually part of the problem. Medieval surgery. Pain was the price. Medieval surgery had one rule: speed over safety. There was no anesthesia, no sterilization, no understanding of bacteria. Surgeons operated while patients screamed and were held down. Amputations were common and deadly. Tools were reused without cleaning. Infections spread rapidly. Many patients survived the surgery, only to die days later from gangrene. Pain was not a side effect. It was expected. Ordeals. Let God decide your fate. Justice in medieval times wasn't about evidence. It was about faith. If someone was accused of a crime, they were forced to undergo an ordeal. They might be thrown into water. If they floated, they were guilty. If they sank and drowned, they were innocent. Others were forced to hold burning iron or walk on hot coals. Survival meant divine approval. Death meant judgment was complete. This was not law. This was legalized cruelty. Alchemy, the dangerous dream of immortality. Alchemy promised miracles, turning lead into gold, creating eternal life, curing all disease. But most alchemists worked with mercury, arsenic, and sulfur. Without understanding toxicity, many poisoned themselves. Slowly, some went mad, others died horribly. The dream of perfection became a nightmare of suffering. Child medicine, when love turned deadly. Perhaps the most heartbreaking discovery of medieval medicine involved children. To calm crying babies, parents gave them alcohol or opium-based syrups. These substances slowed breathing. Many infants never woke up. Parents believed they were helping. In reality, they were unknowingly killing their own children. Witchcraft tools. When science was called evil, in medieval times, knowledge itself was dangerous. Midwives, healers, and herbalists, especially women, were often accused of witchcraft. Why? Because they understood plants. Because they cured without prayer. Because people feared what they couldn't explain. Medieval mental asylums, where the broken were hidden. During the Middle Ages, mental illness was not treated. It was locked away. People who suffered from anxiety, depression, hallucinations, or trauma were labeled as mad. They were sent to early mental asylums, dark, cold stone buildings with iron bars. The most infamous was Bethlehem Hospital in London, later known as Bedlam. Patients were chained to walls. They were beaten to correct behavior. Some were displayed to the public like animals for entertainment. No therapy, no compassion, only fear. Society didn't want to heal them. It wanted to hide them. Tools, like herbal remedies, medical charts, or even books, became evidence of evil. Once accused, torture followed. And torture always produced a confession. Thousands were executed, not for witchcraft, but for being ahead of their time. Torture devices, pain as proof. Medieval Europe created some of the most horrifying torture devices in history. The Iron Maiden, the rack, thumbscrews, the breaking wheel. These weren't designed to kill quickly. They were designed to prolong pain. Authorities believed truth could only be found through suffering. But pain doesn't create truth. It creates desperation. Many confessed to crimes they never committed just to make the pain stop. Justice was replaced with cruelty, disguised as ord. The Black Death experiments. Fear over reason. When the Black Death arrived, it killed nearly half of Europe. Doctors didn't understand bacteria or infection, so they experimented. People were forced to inhale smoke, drink toxic potions, sleep next to dead animals. Some believed bathing caused disease and stopped washing completely. others whipped themselves in public to punish sin. None of it worked. Fear replaced logic, and millions paid the price. Medieval dentistry, a nightmare without escape. Dental pain in the Middle Ages was unbearable. There were no dentists, only barbers. Tooth extraction was done with metal pliers. No painkillers, no hygiene. Sometimes the wrong tooth was pulled. Sometimes the jaw broke. Infections spread fast. A simple toothache could lead to death. People feared dental pain more than war. Child labor, when childhood didn't exist. In medieval society, childhood was short or non-existent. Children as young as 5 worked in farms, mines, and workshops. Many died before reaching adulthood. There were no safety laws, no education, no protection. Children weren't raised, they were used. Society called it normal. History calls it tragedy. Public executions, death as entertainment. Executions weren't private, they were public events. Families brought children. Vendors sold food, crowds cheered. Death became a form of entertainment. Executions were slow, painful, and intentional. The goal wasn't justice, it was fear. The message was clear: obey or suffer. When religion overruled medicine, religion dominated medieval life. Prayer was often chosen over treatment. Illness was seen as punishment. Doctors who questioned religious explanations were silenced. Some were imprisoned, others were executed. Faith gave comfort when it replaced science. It delayed progress by centuries. Final conclusion: the cost of ignorance. The Middle Ages were not evil by choice. They were dangerous because humanity lacked understanding. People didn't want to hurt each other. They wanted answers. But without science, fear became authority. Pain became proof. And suffering became tradition. Medieval discoveries remind us that progress is fragile. Every medical breakthrough today exists because we learned from yesterday's mistakes. History didn't just shape us, it warned us. We often look back at medieval history and feel superior. But one day, future generations may look at us the same way. The real lesson of the Middle Ages is not cruelty, it's humility. Because knowledge without compassion is dangerous, and belief without evidence can destroy lives. History whispers a warning through time. Never stop questioning, never stop learning, and never forget the cost of ignorance. Because the darkest ages begin when curiosity dies.